Hi everyone, this is teacher Hasan from SMBP, Chalermkwansatree School. Today I would like to give you an introduction to science lessons for term 1 midterm. So let's have a look what we have for our science lessons. Let me show you the first one. Okay, here we go. As you can see, there will be around 24 hours to study science for M1.4. And there will be 3 topics. Part 1, how to learn science. Part 2, substances or matter. And part 3, elements. As you can see, in part 1, we will finish all the lectures in 5 hours, and that will take around weeks 1 and 2. After we finish part 1, we will have a quiz for 40 points, and that will take around 1 hour, and that will happen in week 3. After that, we'll start part 2, substances or matter, and this part will take around 5 hours in week 3 and week 4. And after we finish all the lectures, we'll have a quiz on 40 points for 1 hour, and that will happen in week 5. Then you can see part 3, that's about elements, and we will take around 6 lectures for 6 hours, and that will happen from week 5 to week 7. And after we finish the lessons for elements, we'll have a quiz for 40 points for 1 hour in week 7. And then we'll have midterm preparation. We will use at least 1 hour from our science lessons, and that will happen in week 7. And after that, we'll have a pre-midterm for 60 points for 1 hour in week 8. Then during that week, you can have at least 2 hours from my class, from my science class, to prepare for your science lessons. And then in week 9, we will have a midterm for 60 points in 1 hour. So in total, you can see there will be 16 lectures for 24 hours in 9 weeks. Now, I would like to give you this information in details. So you see in the first lecture, today we are going through the first lecture, Introduction to Science Lessons for Midterm Term 1. And after that, we'll start with how to learn science. And over there, we will study about scientific method steps, then scientific process skills, experimentation, data collection, measurement of physical quantities. Then we will study about report writing, and we will get to learn about some lab equipment that we use in our daily life lab activities. And when we finish the part 1, then we will go through a 40-point quiz. As you can see, part 1 looks like this. First, you see scientific method steps, and then science process skills, experimentation, data collection, measurement of physical quantities, report writing. So that's the way we will finish part 1. Let me show you about part 2. In part 2, we are going to learn about substances and classification of substances, and that includes properties of substances. For example, physical properties, chemical properties, classification of substances that includes states, compositions, particle sizes, and then we will learn about the particle theory of matter. After that, we will learn about changes in substances, for example, physical changes and chemical changes. And then we'll study about types of substances. For example, pure substances, There we will learn about elements and compounds, and then we will learn about mixtures, where we will study about solutions, colloids, and suspensions. And then the last lecture from part 2 will be properties of pure substances and mixtures. And there we will get to learn about boiling and melting points and density. And after that, we will have a quiz for 40 points. And I'm gonna give you some ideas about part 2 lectures or lessons, so you can see uh, properties of substances, physical properties, then chemical properties. Then you see the classification of substances, where you can see solids, liquids, and gases. Then you see the classification based on compositions, such as homogeneous substances and heterogeneous substances. Then you see particle sizes, such as suspensions. Then you see colloids and solutions. And then we will get to learn in details about the particle sizes of substances. And then you see the particle theory of matter. Then you see changes in substances, such as physical changes, then chemical changes. Then you see pure substances, where we will get to learn about elements and compounds that you can see here. Then in mixtures, we'll get to learn about solutions, colloids, and suspensions. And then we will learn about boiling and melting points of the 3 different states, such as solids, liquids, and gases. Then we will learn about density of matter. Okay, now let me give you some ideas about part 3. Part 3 is all about elements. And there we have to learn about the periodic table. That is one of the basic information or basic topics in chemistry. So we'll study about the history of periodic table. Then we'll learn about atomic number, isotope, and atomic mass unit. After that, we'll study about classification of elements, such as metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Then we will study about radioactive elements, types of radioactive particles, and radioactivity. And the last lecture will be the benefits of radioactive elements such as agriculture, uh, like the radioactive elements used in agriculture, industry, energy, food preservation, medicine, and geology. And when we finish this part, we'll have a 40-point quiz in week 7 for 1 hour. Now I will give you some ideas about how it looks like. So you can see the periodic table, that we will have some ideas, and we'll study the periodic table. Then the history of periodic table. Then we will learn about atomic number, isotope, and atomic mass. That's what you can see over here. Then you see the classification of elements, such as metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. And then you see some radioactive elements. Then you see types of radioactive particles and radioactivity, where we will learn about alpha particles, beta particles, gamma rays. So, and then we will get to learn about the benefits of radioactive elements, such as the use of radioactive elements in agriculture, industry, energy, food preservation, medicine, and geology. Now, I would like to talk about the marks distribution for midterm, and this is very important to know. So, as you can see, you will be given 300 points to get assessed for midterm. And you see, for homework will be 60 points, where this score will be split into 2 parts. For notebook writing, 30 points, workbook, 30 points. And for quizzes, you will have 120 points for parts 1, 2, 3. 40 points each. And then you will have a pre-midterm for 60 points, and that will happen the week before the midterm, where you can see multiple choice for 30 points and written for 30 points. Then you will have a break maybe for 1 week, something like that, or maybe 3 or 4 days, and then you'll have a midterm for 60 points, where you will have multiple choice questions for 30 points and a written test for 30 points. And if you look at the grading scale, so this is the way we grade our students, where if you have 0 to 49% marks, then you will have a grade 0. Then you see, if you get 50 to 54% marks, then you will have a grade 1. And this is the way you can see until 80% above will be a grade 4. And now I will show you the calculation of grading for our students. For example, if you think, so you see the whole, okay, first of all, let me just clean these parts. Okay, now it's fine. So if you think about the homework, so I assigned 60 points for homework, where you'll be given 30 points for notebook and 30 points for workbook. And if you do your notebook and workbook regularly, and if you can submit all the lessons, so you can get 30, then 30, and in part 1 quiz, if you do very well, you could get at least 35 or maybe 40. Part 2, maybe 40. Part 3, maybe 36, something like that. Then in pre-midterm, if you do really well, you could get at least 28, then 25, and then multiple choice, maybe 30, and written 25. So this is the way you see you can get at least 93% marks, and that will get you a grade 4, and this is fantastic. On the other hand, if you don't do your homework regularly, you might get 15 or 20, something like that, and then something like that, you see maybe 20, maybe 25, maybe 26. And this is the way, if you don't really study hard, right, you understand. So if you get low marks, so like this, like this, like this, and you can see you get only 57% marks, and that will get you a grade 1. I hope you understand the calculation of the grading, and this will be really helpful for you. And that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me by my email, that is showket314@gmail.com, or you can line me by Showket314. I hope you understand about the outlines of science lessons, and this is the way we can work through for our science, and I hope you will have a great, good score. Thank you for today, and see you in next lectures. Until, bye-bye.